Imagine this. You're in elementary school, and the hit game on YouTube right now is Slender the 8 Pages. A little horror game about an internet legend coming and stalking you while you're in the woods. These sort of creepy internet urban legends are the only thing that's talked about around school, and your friend, jokingly, sends you a video titled Slender Man Real Proof? Or something like that, that contains some sort of obviously fake footage, but not to the child's mind, and it leaves you a little spooked. Now, if you have any knowledge or experience of the internet from 2009 to 2014, you have definitely heard of the creature called the Slender Man, a sort of urban legend that was spread around. And if you don't recognize the name, then you've probably seen it before. This whole culture of internet urban legends and scary stories that were spread around the internet intrigued me as a kid, and when I was at least in middle school, I was pretty interested in that kind of thing, which now I find very childish and just sort of not fun to look back on unless it's for nostalgia's sake. It doesn't really hold any other value in my life, except for one thing, one sort of community. See, from the time that Slender Man was created, a series of found footage horror web series was started, and it gained quite a cult following, and it's one of the only things that I fondly look back on and watch over and over again, specifically the web series that started it all, Marble Hornets. In 2009, two guys by the name of Troy Wagner and Joseph Delage created a series of short videos that were meant to be put online to expand the Slender Man mythos, or not necessarily do that, but just add something else, since the only thing that was seen of him at the time were just photoshopped pictures, and they wanted to try something else for a change. And seeing as how they were interested in film, they thought that would be a pretty good idea, which it was, because it immediately took off on the internet, which caused them to think, what if we made this a longer thing? So they sat down together on their back porch and started writing on index cards cool ideas or story beats or plot points that they could use for a longer web series, which they ended up making. After their initial 26 videos, they decided that they could do more and expand on their own story and split apart from the Slender Man creepy stuff. So that's what they did, and they continued their series on to what they call Season 2, and continued that series all the way to 2014. They ended up creating 87 videos, a side channel, and a Twitter, and all of these things the audience could interact with, thus creating an ARG, or a sort of story that's told using real-world social media platforms to make it seem like it's going on in real life, thus the alternate reality game. Marble Hornets was my first exposure to low-budget filmmaking, and it really became my main inspiration for wanting to become a filmmaker. Seeing these interesting stories played out on a cheap found footage budget from 3 college students just made me excited to pursue that kind of thing. And I'm making this video so I can recommend it to people who have no idea what I'm talking about, because even if you haven't heard the name Marble Hornets before, or barely even know anything about the Slender Man, I guarantee you what you do know is from Marble Hornets. It's the most influential thing that's happened to internet horror, and no one really knows it. That video game I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this Slender the 8 Pages, is basically entirely inspired from Marble Hornets, and everything else that you've probably seen about Slender Man, the circle with the X through its symbol, or the people coughing when they get near it, or video tearing and all the lore, all of that was started from Marble Hornets. Overall, I just want people to look into it. I mean, the people who do know about it will always recommend it, because it's just a good story to watch. It's like any TV show you would watch, except it's not really produced in any way and can't be found on Netflix, but hey, it's completely free, and you can find playlists that have every single video in order, plus the side channel stuff, plus anything that you would need to know from Twitter. It's just an amazing experience, and if you think that those kind of stories can't be told on the internet, well, this will definitely prove you wrong, because it's done in just such an interesting way that if your only experience with these kind of stories are from TV shows, movies, and books, then you will be blown away by how effective this kind of storytelling can be. So that's all I had to say. Thank you for listening to my long rant on this internet thing that almost no one cares about, but I hope I convinced you to at least think about watching it or something like that.